Richard Vinbickler will partner Curtis Good in the heart of defence. It's the first time we've seen the Austrian since January 3, the round 13 game against Western United, but he's had sufficient time now to recover from his hamstring injury. So there is the record breaker, Alex Wilkinson, the first man in Australian National League history to win 5 premierships. Add to that the success he had in South Korea as well. He's been a winner everywhere he's been. What about the Golden Boot race? The two men joint leaders in that category face off tonight. Adam Lafondra, 18 goals for him for the second straight campaign. He's got 4 in 4 against Melbourne City as well. Head to head with J-Mac. 74 goals in 120 previous A-League games for McLaren. A born goal scorer. Only Bruno Fornaroli has scored more goals for Melbourne City. So it's set up beautifully. Andy Harper for what should be a cracking encounter.
Yeah, g'day, Brenton. It certainly should be. Melbourne City needing to blow the cobwebs away. It's been a long time since they've played. We've seen Sydney, of course, since the resumption, and they pretty much were able to get back and resume normal service. Had a couple of difficulties with particular teams along the way, but Steve Corica, the premiership winning coach, defending championship coach, will be looking forward to testing his team against the closest challengers at the moment under the leadership of Eric Mombert.
Yeah, we didn't see him in that final game before the COVID break. Understandably, he didn't make the trip to Newcastle. Both these teams beaten by the Jets in their most recent games. Just waiting for a few of those lights to fire up a little more. Looks like we're going to get underway though. Sydney FC playing their 400th game in the A-League, and they've won the 100th, 200th and 300th games in years gone by. How will they fare in the 400th against Melbourne City? A top 2 clash and a top 2 finish, all important. Melbourne City have the extra motivation on that front because it's by no means secured for them. Lovely trickery from Ninkovic, releasing Caceres. Pushing on down that right-hand side is Rattray, but Melbourne City able to take it back through Florent Berenguer. Beautiful playing surface. Hasn't been much traffic at this venue for a while. We're seeing a lot of that, Andy, aren't we? The beautiful playing surfaces for the players to strut their stuff on.
Well, I think one of the keys to that, Brenton, and I'm no groundsman, but it was the major tenets of these big municipal venues, Aussie rules, rugby league and rugby union, and match field preparation is often geared towards those winter competitions, and we're the beneficiaries now.
Adrian Luna delivers. McLaren all alone, and he'll be disappointed to head straight at Andrew Redmayne. Sydney FC nearly opened up 70 seconds in.
Now Lockie Wales starting the attack down the right-hand side, and a little bit worrisome the defending there from Sydney FC. McLaren might have got more on it. And that is Lockie Wales for avid fans of the A-League. It's not a hybridised version of Brian Mannix or the lead singer of the Flock of Seagulls. It is in fact Lachlan Wales from the Central Coast of New South Wales.
Plenty of time up in the facility. They moved to up in the Hunter Valley, Melbourne City, after doing the 14-day quarantine period in the Balcombe Hills area. They've relocated to the Hunter Valley and made the trip down there today, actually. 2-hour bus ride, and they'll be heading back there tonight as well. Thought about staying overnight in Sydney last night, but they're pretty happy with the surrounds in the Hunter. Plenty of time to work on the hairdos as well.
Maybe that's the reason, Brenton. It's certainly eye-catching, or maybe just you and I are particularly affected by such things.
Now going against Noon, who apologised to Rattray. But that early chance for McLaren, is that a byproduct of Rattray being unfamiliar with that right-back role now?
Well, this is a really interesting selection for me. And Sydney FC have 3 games left before the finals. And those games are against likely finals opponents, particularly including this one, if the form book is anything to go by. Under which circumstances you would imagine a more regular deputy for Ryan Grant at fullback might do with a couple of games of this sort of intensity.
Here's Wales testing Wilkinson.
And Van der Sarg, Harry Van der Sarg, the youngster, is the player discussed in those circles. Steve Corica described him during the week as being a younger version of Ryan Grant. On that basis, I find it strange that he's not getting a run today.
Just amongst the substitutes. Now Baum-Johan all the way through to Tom Glover in the end. And plenty of numbers back there, Melbourne City, but they were backtracking and tempting the German maestro to dribble his way through. Top 2 scoring teams in the A-League head-to-head tonight. And they're both getting on the front foot, particularly Melbourne City, as Wales delivers, and that will be Redmayne's ball. Rolled out to Ninkovic. Caceres again. So much room to move in midfield in these opening exchanges. Noon trying to shepherd it out for the goal kick. Job done on that front. Mark Bosnich, is it a little dark down there?
Good evening, Brenton. Good evening, Andy, and to all our viewers watching at home. Look, not for me at this moment in time, but Tara's just informed me that the western side lights, is that right? That's all right. The western lights are being turned on, but just to the game, a fantastic start, you have to say, by Melbourne City. Lockie Wales is in, you can tell, red hot form, and they're really trying to use his side. They're really trying to test the young boy King down this left-hand side. Some of the runs he's already making is absolutely fantastic, and they're really trying to make it an issue that Ninkovic has to get back. So the more he has to get back, then the less he'll have opportunity to attack.
A match-up to keep an eye on. Here's King going the other way and whipped in a dangerous ball, controlled inside the area. Little layoff for Bratton and charged down by Scott Jamieson.
Nice clean strike that from Luke Bratton. Of course, there are a few cleaner strikers of the football in the competition. So Jamieson was right onto him.
Goalkeeper coming outside of his area, but able to backtrack in time. Tom Glover, a Sydney boy. Few in the lineup of Melbourne City, including Scott Jamieson, the skipper. They've lost some talent as well after lockdown. Denny Jonro will be joining MacArthur, not sticking it out with Melbourne City. Dean Bazanis off to the UK. That's the expectation. Susaeta back in Spain. Not intended for Ninkovic, but he took it. Back to McGowan. Delbridge getting across in time. Caceres took it back off Wales, and the right side of the pitch is open again for Redtrack. Lovely switch from Caceres. Bratton whips one in. Oh, clever header, and the flag stays down. No, it goes up, and it would not have counted. What a spectacular strike from Ninkovic. The link-up play was mouth-watering.
Well, so many parts of that, Speedy. The switch from Caceres, the first control from Redtrack. The ball into the box was a good one. The header from Lafondra, I think it was outstanding. The run from Ninkovic as well. He's just drifted offside and then couldn't actually finish it. But we were half a yard plus a crossbar away from enjoying a really great football goal.
Nudge in the back from King on Wales, looking to get tight to the speedster who's given him the run around so far. Well done by the assistant. They don't have VAR to back them up at the moment, so Adam Powers that was with the eagle-eyed call on that far side. Now Wales And Wilkinson had to be there with McLaren lurking again. It's out for a corner.
Great switch of play by Melbourne City. And Joel King's positioning there was good. He'd taken up his century near the central defenders, realising that if the ball gets slung over my head, I have to back myself to get wide enough. But the ball was so good, and Wales's perseverance was brilliant.
Corner routine was a good one for Noon to deliver, and out came Redmayne. Sydney FC able to punch it clear, and they'll settle for a goal kick, but lovely routine from Melbourne City.
Man, thankfully, Speedy, how happy to report Melbourne City have hit the track at full tilt and continuing the theme of highly entertaining, high-quality football since the resumption. It's been really fun to watch, really crisp ball movement. A lot about that has been said because of the weather conditions, that's part of it, but the playing surfaces, apropos the point we made earlier, is a major contributor as well. And the players look like they're loving it. We're loving watching it. It's been really fun since the resumption.
We've seen a lot of Socceroos games at this venue down the years, but they've never played on a deck as good as this, I don't think. Certainly Ange Postecoglou used to lament.
Well, that was, interestingly, Speedy, that was most recently the Asian Cup of 2015, which was summer. That's my point. A lot of the work goes into preparing for the heavy traffic over winter. Stop short of actually getting any more technical about that, but so many times we've been at venues and a patchy surface has been explained away to us because they've ripped up the summer grass and they're reseeding for winter. That's not my line, that's the groundsman's line from time to time around the place.
"19 years of age, Joel King. Delbridge towering over Lafondra. Melbourne City shrinking the pitch. Sydney FC good enough to win it back, and again they look sharp going forward. Baum-Johan able to shield it away from Brillanti, and then he was the meat in the sandwich. The referee has a card out, and Vinbickler says, "Who, me?"
Well, Vinbickler, I think, has taken one for the team there, because there were a couple of efforts, principally by Josh Brillanti at the start, and the ref waved play on, and the last foul by Vinbickler was the one given as the yellow. Fair enough too. It was a great surging run by the German Baum-Johan.
I thought Adrian Luna was the one entitled to get the booking there. In a VAR situation, they could tip them off and maybe change who was sanctioned there. That's why Vinbickler was gobsmacked when he saw the card being pointed his way. We'll have a look at that in a moment.
Well, I'm happy the ref let it run to start with, and then one of the two should get the yellow. No quibble about it.
They've clocked off on King if Bratton wants to use him, but Bratton goes direct and didn't get the kind of spin on it he was after.
Well, there's the first nibble. There's Brillanti making a nuisance of himself. No, I think it's Vinbickler. Oh, I'm comfortable with it anyway.
Yep, fair enough. Melbourne City playing out from the back. Delbridge heading at the space, but King first to react. Vinbickler there ahead of Barbarouses. Wales able to bring it down. McLaren couldn't return the favour. Sydney FC have won 8 of the past 9 encounters between these teams. Only victory for City during that sequence was late last season at Leichhardt. 2-0 victory. Only other meeting this season. Sydney FC got the chocolates despite being reduced to 10 men when Ryan Grant was sent off. The scoreline was Melbourne City 1, Sydney FC 0 when that happened. Sky Blues came back to win 2-1. Barbarouses and Lafondra on target.
That's incredible recent history, that, isn't it? And it's not as though Melbourne City have been dishing up shabby, uncompetitive teams in recent years.
Melbourne City on the front foot again. Florent Berenguer in behind for McLaren. Oh, and didn't Redmayne have to react smartly at his near post? Was it a deflection or a direct strike bound for that bottom corner?
Well, he did excellently. It's a really nice in and away run, well fed by Berenguer, and I think he's done that brilliantly. You know, Redmayne, get Boz's view on this, has positioned himself to intercept a cutback, but he's kept that near post so brilliantly patrolled and saved it with that outstretched right paw. Otherwise, excellent goalkeeping.
Get to Mark Bosnich on that in a moment after this corner routine. Looks like they whip it in first time. This time around, Vin Bickler on the move in the middle. Lafondra guarding that near post. They've got the overload on that side. Wales a little careless with his intended pass, and now giving away a free kick. The referee playing the advantage and says you can have a free kick now. So, Bozza, what do you make of that Redmayne work?
Very good save. It's very, very important for a goalkeeper. If you can imagine a line from each post going to the middle of the 6-yard box, it basically gives you a triangle from the edge of your line, that you don't get too far out that, because just like Andy said, you can cut out the cross or you can make sure you're there for the shot. But that was just a very good save because it was low down. It was well struck by Jamie McLaren.
For a long time, he was a number 2 around the A-League. He's been part of 5 Premier's Plate winning squads himself. Didn't play in that Central Coast Mariners team the year they won it a long time ago now, but very much established as the number 1 shot stopper in the pink at the back for Sydney FC. A lot brighter out there now than it was at the start of this game. Lights beginning to kick in. Players weren't waiting for them though. They were turning on the style from the outset here. Opening 15 minutes has flown by. McLaren again presented, but overhit for him. Sydney FC's plan worked on that occasion, getting it back cheaply. Ninkovic has 3 to beat, and the 3-1 out. McLaren wanted an early ball from Brillanti. Noon's on the move as well, but Brillanti decides to recycle. Florent Berenguer, lovely touch, able to work his way back inside. Wales is on here. Delbridge knows it. Luna working hard ahead of him. Delbridge whips it in first time. Wilkinson with a miss kick. Big chance here for Noon, and tipped over by Redmayne. It's out for a corner. Redmayne in the mood, Mark Bosnich.
Another fantastic save, but it must be said, Melbourne City are really in the mood. They're playing some wonderful stuff, switching the ball from one side to the other. Both Craig Noon on one side and Lockie Wells on the other, providing great width, which is allowing Luna, Berenguer, and even Brillanti time and space on the ball. They're doing really well here. Sydney need to hold out.
Great technique from Noon. That was dipping under the crossbar, wasn't it, Andy?
Goalkeeper needed to act, did very well.
Now the delivery away by Lafondra, helping out at the back. Heavy touch, just managed to track it down. Did young King. Now good in a wide area. Good looking shape about it too. Wales rose for the header. Not really his game. And Ninkovic is fouled. Great refereeing. I'll tell you what, he's a very good young ref. Here's Abraham. Assessed the options, didn't blow the whistle prematurely, and Sydney FC into the attacking half. Melbourne City back quickly enough. Ninkovic. Retray first time. Good tracking the run of Barbarousis. Brillanti will go early this time. Full of energy. Here's Craig Noon. And here's a little talking to for Brillanti from the referee. Second time he's tried to slow things down on the break for Sydney FC. And next time he'll pick up a yellow ticket for it. Steve Corica making the point he should still see the yellow card. after doing it twice. Johan. Brillanti wins it cleanly that time. Breaks for Barbarouses. They've got men over on this near side. King has been found. Ninkovic on the edge of the area. King's delivery should be City's. That's good, heads clear. Bratton trying to play a little ball in behind for Barbarouses, who then committed the foul on his opposite number, Craig Noon.
Nicely balanced this game after 20 minutes. Both teams have had some really impressive moments. Certainly of the two goalkeepers, it's Andrew Redmayne who's had to be on his game the best. Sydney's move through midfield has been good. Ninkovic in great touch, superb player. Melbourne City here to play after a long hibernation. They've really hit the ground running. It's been great to watch.
They have met once before at this venue. It was a fabulous Melbourne City goal on that night, scored by Fernando Brandan, before Sydney FC snatched a point courtesy of Bobo. There's a red card on that evening as well. Caceres. Lovely skill around Brillanti. He was careful, and that's because of the referee. Now Caceres can use the right back. Retre. And free kick granted on this occasion.
Well, I just could sit and watch that sequence of Caceres over and over and over again. The more he believes he can do this and dominate A-League matches, the better for all of us. Brillanti's been skinned a couple of times. We know how good Josh Brillanti is as a defender and as an athlete. Even he couldn't foot it with the silky feet. The magical Anthony Caceres. When he's playing, it's worth watching.
And Johan over this set piece. Lafondra in amongst the big boys at the back for Melbourne City. Johan's delivery all the way through, and a tame finish in the end. Glover happy to see that one come straight to him. Ryan McGowan was all alone.
Well, all the Melbourne City players were attracted to the ball. None of them could make any contact. It left Ryan McGowan very free. Unfortunately for him, poor contact. It's an easy sighter for Glover in the City goal.
Scored on the opening weekend, McGowan. No goals since then. Here he is climbing expertly over the top of McLaren. Good scrap in midfield, and free kick goes against the team in sky blue. Play, last touch off Retre, who wants more options from teammates. And a late fall, clear contact on Jefferson, and the referee was on top of things again.
A very tight interplay from City again, and Paolo Retre has been called upon as a right fullback defensively twice, and he's come up short twice. That's the second time. The first was the headed chance he didn't win, headed challenge he didn't win, which ended up in the Noon dipping shot, forcing the save from Redmayne.
Noon is there to open up the angle for Wales. Change of direction, and the delivery deep, and Redmayne gets another paw to it.
Well, the accuracy of the set pieces from both teams has been bang on. Very nervy defending, because the delivery is so pinpoint and hit with pace.
Sydney FC pushed 2 men out, so the short corner routine goes on hold. In swinging delivery at that near post, and Lafondra was sharp, helping out his keeper. This time they've left it 2-on-1, so City accept the invitation. Wales, anywhere will do for Sydney FC, as King shanked one and out off Lockie Wales for a goal kick. A sense of relief for Sydney FC there.
A little bit off the hook too. I'm not quite sure what Lockie Wales had going through his mind in dealing with that situation. Bit of a gimme in the end for Sydney FC.
Capped by the Socceroos, Andrew Redmayne against South Korea. Graham Arnold giving him that honour. Got the ball, also took a little bit of Baum Johan according to the officials.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if I'm Craig Noon, I'm a little bit perturbed at that one as well. He lightened his feet there, Baum Johan.
Moon played it out cleverly off his opponent on that occasion, as we check in with Tara Rushton for some news.
Yeah, good evening, gents. What a start to this game. I mean, it's flown 24 minutes thus far. Just a quick one. Scott Jefferson from Melbourne City. He's on baby watch at the moment. His wife is due to give birth any day now, and there's a 95% chance he wants to go back to Melbourne, which means he'll be able to get in. I guess it's juggling how he re-enters Sydney on the other side. So the team, I'm sure, are watching that eagerly to see how that plays out. And they've been staying at the Crown Plaza. Well, some good attack here. I'll let you take it over.
As Wales delivers, late run from Luna, and fired back in. Redmayne keeps it out somehow. It was a spinning ball as Florent Berenguer let fly, and Redmayne negated the gnarly spin with legs and hands and somehow kept it out.
Well, excellent entry into the box by Luna. Not necessarily renowned as a physical presence as the ball flies in, but he caused enough mayhem for the ball to fall to the Frenchman. Redmayne was amazing. I think he was amazed he got it in the end. I don't know how that one stayed out.
Because it then spins just agonisingly wide of the post as well. Here's another variation from City. Chance to fire it back in, perhaps from the edge of the area. City FC able to force them back. Jamison floats it forward, and we can finish that story, Tara.
Oh, I'm back. That was exciting. Melbourne City, they've been staying in the gorgeous Crown Plaza in the Hunter Valley. They've had it all to themselves thus far. A couple of guests coming and going, but it's a huge resort. It backs onto a golf course, but in the last 24 hours, Brisbane Roar have joined them up there. So they do have some visitors. They haven't passed each other in reception just yet, though, gents.
Good intel from Tara as Wales surges into the area, and King blocked off the passage that time. Should be Redmayne's ball on this occasion. There were a lot of wide-eyed reactions to that save a moment ago. Bozza, what do you make of it?
Outstanding save. There's only one reason that Melbourne City aren't up by at least 2 goals, and that is Andrew Redmayne. We've seen some fantastic goalkeeping performances as we come back. Paul Izzo comes to mind. There was that great save from Philippe Curto as well. Matty Acton made some good saves as well, but today this is as good a performance as anyone. If it wasn't for him, like I said, they'd be at least 2-0 down. Very frustrating for the bench of Melbourne City, because tactically and the way they're playing, everything's right, but you've got to finish off your chances.
Now King worked his way past Wales. Nice confidence on the ball from the teenager. Bratton was hoping to slide him through, but had to go back. ball just moving around at such pace. Bratton. Lafondra lets it bounce. Does Curtis Good and assess that really well with Ninkovic in the vicinity.
He did, but part of that assessment was it's Milos Ninkovic and physically I can handle it. If it was maybe a Gary Hooper, say, a bit more nuggety, more natural striker, he might have had a second look at that. Ninkovic a little bit out, positionally out of his comfort zone there. In that scenario, Curtis Good untroubled.
Delbridge's pass easily cut out. There's another trick from King. Now Ninkovic. And Baumjohann. There's Rattray out there, he knows that. McGowan. Ninkovic again just drifting into space, and he wasn't quite on the same page with King on that occasion. The apology comes from the left back for hesitating on his move. Melbourne City just shading it in completed passes, but Sydney FC have attempted more forward passes. Some stats on the run for you. .40 points and 12 wins after 23 games is the club's best ever return to Melbourne City. Never finished top two. That's what Eric Mombert is looking to deliver this club. And they look every chance to get there on this form. Looking to make the most of that game in hand on the chasing pack. There's the live ladder, 11 points between these clubs. Each team will play 26 games before the finals begin. 1 point clear of Wellington and 3 points clear of Brisbane as it stands. Flicked out of there by Caceres to the chest of McGowan. Wales putting a little bit of pressure on Wilkinson. And Melbourne City do their job. You heard the applause from Craig Noon. Very effective pressing.
He locked it in beautifully. Lockie Wales has been prominent. There's the interference of Luna legally. And there's that work from Redmayne. He still can't work out how he managed to get enough on that ball with his body weight going in completely the other direction. With a nice shot on goal. A couple of sighters.
He was going towards his right-hand side, wasn't he, where the initial shot was headed. Must have taken a deflection halfway through its journey there, and that's what made the save even more special. Finds the chest of McLaren. And he's through. Adrian Luna, out comes Redmayne. The dinked finish goes wide. Has he made another save, though? He has. It's last touch off Sydney FC off the shoulder of Redmayne.
That's a tough angle for Luna. King misses the tackle, and it just comes off the shoulder slash peck of Redmayne to spin to safety. Nervous moments for Sydney. And it's not as though they've looked sloppy themselves, really. They've started the game in their own right well, moved the ball nicely, but Melbourne City are really testing the defending champions here.
Wales to swing it in deep. Delbridge looms large, tries to climb over the top of Wilkinson and can't get on the end of things. Well, take a bow, Andrew Redmayne, so far. As Mark Bosnich said, he's the reason that Sydney FC aren't behind in this game. Quite the catalogue of saves, and we've only played 32 minutes.
Well, this is the save off Berenguer. Again. How hopeful was that glance? As he feels it onto his left hand, and then he just looks hopefully that it's going to bounce to safety.
5 saves already. 2 or 3 of them very special indeed. Ninkovic moves to the open space of the left-hand side of the pitch. Melbourne City so well organised. They've been training in Maitland at the same facility that the Newcastle Jets W League side uses. And they've obviously been gaining a lot of confidence there after the long time away. A little deflection off McLaren as he charged down Redmayne. Bratton just checking on Berenguer's welfare, and now he has to get across defensively, and got there in time. And denying the corner is Retro. Three men in the box. McGowan stopped it getting through to the number 9. Delbridge let it get away from him. Barbarouses able to surge into the attacking half. Balmiohan. And there's no one there for that pass.
Great energy in recovery from Melbourne City players. Berenguer's retreat was like a shot out of the gun. It was a tough one for Balmiohan to control at full speed and maintain an advantage, and that played Berenguer in a little bit, but still it was a terrifically energetic recovery. And they're closing Sydney down really, really well. This is, in my opinion, where the game's really swung in the last 15 minutes. Melbourne City's ability to close Sydney down, force them into an area of the pitch where they'll have a numerical advantage and then win the ball back has really taken Sydney out of the equation. And it's now a dominant Melbourne City that is dictating terms here at the Olympic Stadium.
Jefferson finds McLaren. Couldn't trick his way past King. Good went in. And Lafondra wanted an early ball from Barbarouses, who can look up again now. Works it wide to Ninkovic. He's got King overlapping. And again, Melbourne City regrouping effectively defensively. Bratton. What a ball. Amazing pass out in front of King. Barbarouses now. Lafondra almost through for Balmiohan. That was an important intervention from Jefferson. It was Sydney FC's most promising opening in a while. Now quickly the other way. Wales for McLaren, and Redmayne a great starting position again. End-to-end stuff.
And beautiful. And you can have end-to-end stuff, Speedy, with goalkeepers kicking the ball to each other, but this is high-quality end-to-end. That ball from Bratton, you expressed, I'm sure everyone watching it, the view, Speedy, the way you called it. It was just a beautiful pass from Bratton. And Berenguer's burst and the ball through to Wales was just delectable. Probably Lachie Wales needed just a little bit of Luke Bratton in that delivery. And he would have found probably the Supermac.
Ninkovic can turn. Lafondra appeals wide this time. Barbarouses through the middle. Ninkovic. And Lafondra picks a pretty good option in Bratton. He wants it back as well. The Englishman in behind. And getting a rare corner. Sydney FC now after defending so many at the other end.
Well, that's excellent coverage from Virbikla. But again, it's Bratton. Look at this from Berenguer. Look at Anthony Caceres just straining everything to get back and just needed a curl on that ball. Lachie, That was the intention. You could see the way he addressed the ball was to roll the foot on the outside of the ball to get a curl and a swerve onto the ball into the path of McLaren. Not to be.
Johan out off Barbarouses.
Well, it's a good little hit back from Sydney, and this is the way back for them. Keep the ball, move the ball quickly, make sure the passes are completed, and they can rebalance things. But Melbourne City's capacity for that period of time to force Sydney into error really tipped the scales.
That was an error as it pinged off the chest of Berenguer from the playing out from the back routine. Berlanti to Wales. That speed. McLaren back towards Wales was the intent. And they had men over on that left-hand side with a better option taken there, Melbourne City. It's been so very nearly for them on multiple occasions in this opening 45. That's a booking coming up for Rattray as Noon gave him the run around again.
Yeah, not quite working for Paolo, who has been a staple at centre midfield. Deputising for Ryan Grant at right fullback is finding the going tough out there.
And booking a piece now. Finn Bickler for City, Rattray for Sydney FC. Delbridge just getting a little bit of advice from his coach after his passing of late. A little bit off the radar. Now he searches long, and Wilkinson will be able to let that one go. It's maybe one aspect of his game he needs to work on a little.
Well, the straight balls aren't going to hurt Sydney. What's the delivery that's been hurting them is the angled ball to wider players, and the run of Lockie Wales has been really difficult to handle. So too the run out of midfield of Florent Berenguer has been really difficult for Sydney to match. But if Sydney can corral Melbourne City into longer, straighter delivery like that, then they'll benefit. In that sense, it was the position taken up by Johan to cut out the wide ball to Lockie Wales, standing in that pathway, which forced Harris and Delbridge to go more direct, and that's good defending from Sydney.
Here's a sign how much pressure they've been under. Redmayne taking an eternity with this goal kick, and the referee gave him the hurry up. Oh, brilliant from Berenguer. Clip over the top of Rattray. Luna. Delbridge can fire it out towards Wales. A pass on point. Noon just onside. Left foot delivery will be Redmayne's again. Early delivery hoping to find Barbarouses in amongst a couple of City players. He was ambitious. Strong work on the ball from Luna. Wales. Into the area he goes. Found his balance again after the initial stumble. Now Noon. And charged down by McGowan. And cleared by Wilkinson. Finn Bickler gets them straight back on the front foot. Away by Wilkinson though. And Johan able to find a front man. Sydney FC played it well out of pressure. Ninkovic brilliant, saw the space. Johan looks for a killer ball. Good on the stretch. King's there sniffing around. And City had to scramble that time, did so effectively. Berenguer making up the ground. Noon switches it up to Wales instead. And that took the keeper out of play and forced Rattray into safety first.
Well, the danger then for Sydney was because I'm not quite sure what Joel King saw or was trying on the edge of the Melbourne City box, but it was a great situation for Sydney. And then Rattray just making his way back there now, but he was paddling, Paolo. He'd made a lung-bursting run forward to support Bam Johan, who went more direct, trying to find Barbarouses. And then on the counter-attack, Melbourne City, fleet of foot. But enough of a delay for Rattray to get back and touch the ball out for this corner.
Taken short again, whipped in by Noon. Delbridge getting there. McLaren! That's the kind of poacher's goal that he was hoping to put away. And he couldn't get a telling touch on it with only Redmayne to beat.
Yeah, well, that's his meat and drink, isn't it? It's not an easy one because of the way he was positioned, but that comes again, he scores. I mean, that's what Jamie McLaren does.
Is he thinking, I could have taken a touch there as well and then fired home?
Well, it's easy in hindsight if he is thinking that. I just would suggest he's disappointed with what he actually dished up.
Here's Bam Johan. Barbarouses keeps it alive. Good, charges him down again. Hope the football fans tuning in are enjoying this action. No goals as yet, but a real treat for the Melbourne City fans who've been starved of football for so long. Tuning in back in Melbourne in lockdown. Sydney FC fans watching their team for the first time since the silverware was clinched. All ball was the signal from the referee as McGowan slid in there and Wales copped incidental contact. He's okay. And those two exchange a handshake in back play. The 1 minute being added on here. Is that enough time to break the deadlock here? City might get one last crack at it. Not sure Berenguer is that interested. Gives it back to Jefferson and they talk it over. That conversation may continue on the way to the dressing room. May as well blow that half-time whistle now. Thrilling action. Melbourne City, the dominant side, but Andrew Redmayne has been a rock at the back for Sydney FC. Plenty to look forward to in the second half. Jamie McLaren had that chance very late on after the set piece broke his way. But at the break in Sydney, it's Melbourne City 0, Sydney FC 0. Tara Rushton and Mark Bosnich will be back to dissect all of those halftime highlights right after this. Stay with us.
Stadium. Oh, yeah, hey, wasn't it? One of my pakachas.
Yeah. Every department
Attack down the right, Lockie Wales. Please say that.
Hello, hello, hello. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Hello, hello, hello. I got you.
2 minutes.
Oh,
What's my
superior in every
what's my
department but
play
one.
on? Ooh.
Superb, superb. Oh, yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, Saturday afternoon of your A-League action has dished up an absolute beauty 1v2. Sydney FC, newly crowned premiers, and Melbourne City. Well, is this a grand final preview? We've seen a little bit of the action there. Andrew Redmayne couldn't believe he saved it himself. Welcome back from Tara Rush, and it's great to have your company and to be joined by Mark Bosich. Bosich, you've got to say the only thing missing right now is a couple of goals. Melbourne City dictating play, but thoroughly entertaining this one.
Yeah, a fantastically entertaining game, but mainly down to one side, and that's Melbourne City. Superior in every department, but the most important one, unfortunately. I said games are decided in both boxes, controlled between it. They've controlled everything. They've played some wonderful, enterprising football, but they've come up against a goalkeeper, and Andrew Redmayne has pulled out an absolutely top-class performance. Now, if you're thinking from a Sydney perspective, you think, OK, they've won the Premier's plate. You know, have they taken their foot off the pedal a little bit? I don't think it's so much of that. I think it's a little bit of that. There's no doubt about that. But I actually think that they've obviously watched that game against Newcastle very closely. And although they're not doing, when I say they, I mean Melbourne City, exactly the same thing, something very, very similar. One of Sydney's great attacking threats, as we know, is down both flanks with the fullbacks. And with them playing two wingers in Noon and Lockie Wells, they're being kept back. And with Ninkovic, I've very rarely seen him, in all his time he's been at Sydney, come so far inside to get the ball. At the end, he even swapped with Bomyaham because they just could not get the ball. Melbourne City have been just too sharp, too fast and too good, but it's 0-0. And while it's 0-0, you're always with a shout.
Melbourne City restarting their season after 131 days. Bozza, they look incredibly sharp.
They did, and they made their intentions known from the start. And what I mean by that is that first save by Redmayne is that one of the keys is Lockie Wells here on our side here, Tara, which you picked up straight away. You said that. You did. You said that is hugging one touch line. You got Craig Noon hugging the other touch line. And it's just wonderful to see their movement. They'll come forward and then they'll go. And what really impresses me about them is it's not just the fact that there's really good short pass and they play a lovely style of football. We know that throughout the whole club all around the world, but is the fact that the likes of Brillante, the likes of Berenguer, the likes of Luna, even the boys at the back are not afraid to put the ball in behind Sydney. And a lot of times you find you've got Alex Wilkinson and McGowan running towards their own goal. It's pushing Sydney back and then they start playing. That was an amazing save. I don't know if that ball moved or deflected. But either way, the ball stayed out of the net, and that's the most important thing. The other thing I will say as well, and I've spoken about this a lot from a defensive perspective, you know, I was saying you only have to have one spare man. That's the same from an attacking perspective. If you watch Melbourne City very carefully when they're playing it around the back, when they're building up, They only have 3 men playing it against the 2. That's enough. One of the fullbacks, either Delbridge if he goes wide, or especially Jamison, once they decide which 3 are going to play it around the back, the other one goes into midfield. It's given them an overload. So Stephen Corica and Sydney have got a bit of thinking to do about the second half, because at the moment, you saw in that last 10 minutes, they're just basically standing back, no problem, and just staying in structure because they don't quite know when to go and when not to.
A couple of things to work on from a Sydney FC perspective. You touched on him there, Lockie Wells. Michael Susueta, he went back home, Essendon decided to return with the COVID-19 pandemic. Lockie Wells, though, stepping up in his absence.
He's been phenomenal. The only thing I will say, 2 things, is there was a chance when he cut the ball back when he should have went on himself. Needs to be a little bit more selfish, in my opinion, because, you know, he's getting himself in such great positions, but some of these crosses have been absolutely fantastic. But that is the one thing, the decision making, that's for everyone, we know that. But there was that time when he crossed that ball in when Andrew Redmayne came and got it when he went to go to Jamie McLaren. It was too unselfish, put it that way. You know, he needs to be a little bit more selfish when he's in that position, because I mean, he's like a greyhound. He's been phenomenal this first half.
He's got pace and he does have energy. From a Sydney FC perspective, then switching focus, they've been they've been able to keep it 0-0.
Yeah.
We saw Trent Bahaja. He's just warming up before you said, "Are you coming on yet?" He said, "No, not yet." So what are they going to have to tweak?
Well, I really think he should come on, and I think they should put him down one of the wings or on an inside right or inside left position, and basically help in stopping one of those fullbacks, whether it be Harrison Delbeach or the other side, Scott Jamison coming into midfield, because they'll be thinking twice, because now they've got him going back the other way. I'd bring Ninkovic into the middle, because he's doing that anyway to try to get some ball and to give him a little bit more numbers inside the middle. And other than that, I'll be saying to them as well, I know it's difficult, you're playing against 3 real speedsters up front, but Alex Wilkinson and McGowan, I do still want you to step up a little bit more, because I know you're getting pushed back and you're worried about the pace in behind, but the distance that between you and Lafondra and Barbarouses is so great that they're just playing around us all the time, and basically there's nothing we can do about it but hang on. And look, like I said to you, when it's 0-0, you've always got an opportunity, but the way things are going, you can only hang on for so long. Unless Andrew Redmayne has just one of those games where he's just not going to get beaten full stop. Simple as that.
He's looking pretty good.
That's a big gamble for 45 minutes.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be interesting to see what Stephen Corica decides to do come this second half. You feel like the goals are coming, though, don't you, Bozza? The football, it does continue as well. Newcastle Jets and Western United tomorrow afternoon in Newcastle. What a clash this will be. Rated highly, both teams, how they've come out from the break. And Western United looked amazing against Melbourne Victory the other night. 2
of the best performed teams since we've come back out of the break. Mind you, you can add Melbourne City to that, depending how this next 45 minutes goes. Newcastle, number 1, Western United there with number 2. They were fantastic against Melbourne Victory. A really good win, even though it got a little bit shaky towards the end. And Newcastle, just a shame for them, really, that they couldn't put Central Coast Mariners away. But by far and away, still, for me, the best performance over 90 minutes when they played against Sydney. But really, for them, they've got to rely on results, but there's just no other choice. But they have to win tomorrow. Western United would have seen, obviously, what Brisbane have done, what Adelaide have done, Western Sydney Wanderers last night. They would like to win as well, even though they've got games in hands, but it's always better to have the points on the table.
Yeah, the race to make finals as well, and truly heading up that 6th spot on the table. We are off to a short break. We have a huge second half coming up on the other side, though. Who can break the deadlock? Melbourne City were well and truly in the ascendancy before the break. What have Sydney FC got planned? We'll hear from Steve Corica, Sydney FC coach, on the other side. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.
Hey, check. Brucey. Speedy, hello, mate. Speedy, you there, buddy?
Test.
Oh, hello. Great man. Speedy, got me?
Yep, got you.
This is for Steve Corica, mate. All good? Speedy, you still there? Oh, Graham. Righto. brisk. Getting a bit brisk, boys.
Welcome back to the Olympic Stadium. Goalless at the break. Melbourne City, unsurprisingly, already out there ready to go. Keen to continue on with what was a stunning first half performance, Andy Harper.
Terrific first half. Terrific first half back since the resumption for Melbourne City. And Sydney had their work cut out. They played some good stuff themselves. And of course, so far clear at the top that they've already secured the Premier's plate. So there might be some people thinking, well, they're not quite up for the contest. I don't think that's the case. I just think Melbourne City have really tested them. It's been a really, really good match to watch so far, and we look forward to the second half.
And Sydney FC's coach, Steve Corica, good enough to join us. Your goalkeeper was outstanding in that first half. What do you make of your rest of the team's performance?
At times I thought we were a little bit sloppy. I think, when we do control the tempo of the game, I think we bring obviously our 10s into play, and then we can get our fullbacks going forward. So there'll be hopefully a lot more of that in the second half. It was a little bit sloppy, but hopefully second half will be better.
Rattray is on a yellow card. Did you ponder any changes at halftime?
No, I didn't. No. We'll make changes later in the second half, but at this stage, happy with the way things are going.
And quickly, Bimby, a lot of the talk in your dressing room would have been about what your team was doing. Yep. What about Melbourne City? What are you looking to change and impact on their approach?
No, I think it's more what we've got to do with the ball. I think defensively I've been quite happy. I think other than second balls and losing a few of the challenges, we were probably second. But other than that, we need to obviously be a lot more aggressive defensively and a lot better with the ball.
Thanks for your time and congrats on the Premier's plate.
Thank you.
Sounding a bit husky there, Bimby. Shouting instructions from halfway or from the technical area.
In the depths of winter.
Well, maybe it was a very vocal address at half-time.
Who wants this? Bratton. Off the beaches of Brazil, that kind of technique, the shoulder, and brought it down. Pretty special stuff from Bratton in the cut and thrust of an A-League encounter. Of course, he traded places with Brillanti at the end of last season. Josh Brillanti, a great success as a Sydney FC player. 5 major trophies won. Bratton hoping for similar success with Sydney FC. whistle here. Scott Jefferson not letting him past. We'll have to go back and take the free kick from where the incident occurred. The fourth official coming to help out Alex Baumjohann to know where it should be taken from. And Ninkovic will get there. Back to the German. Baumjohann's delivery. Glover came and then retreated, relying on his defenders to deal with it. Oh, Bratton, brilliance, deflection, looping, and they'll get a corner out of that one. We saw Redmayne make a save from a similar shot by Craig Noon early on.
Well, you just invoked the scene out of Ipanema Beach for Luke Bratton earlier. That is just a beautiful, beautiful touch to get rid of the first offender, and then the deflection. I don't know if it saved Melbourne City. It certainly made things interesting for a tick.
Bratton goes back to the corner taker. That looked like a hand by Rattray. Appeals for handball. Fell on deaf ears. He's worked his way past Noon, but there was backup from Brillanti. Walked the tightrope, played it beautifully, and McLaren was barged over.
Yeah, that's a poor decision from Bratton there. All well and good to be tied on McLaren, but they've just let the pressure off. It really never ceases to amaze that players don't just back off that fraction. Don't give away the free kick. Keep McLaren and Melbourne City under pressure. Can't help themselves at times.
Throw-in surprised a few of those Melbourne City players. As a result, Sydney FC chance to open things up, but Bratton, or rather Brillanti, just got a foot in on Lafondra. Berenguer really found his feet at the back end of those games before lockdown. Finds Noon from the head of McGowan. Scott Jefferson bending one. He's only ever scored 2 A-League goals in more than 250 games. He's taking up different positions tonight, a lot more inside than we're used to seeing Jefferson.
Well, the wide midfielders for Melbourne City, of whom Craig Noon is one, has slung the ball into the box there. They take up the wide positions, and with the 4-3-3 that Melbourne City play, those wide positions, Noon on one side, Lockie Wales on the other, they're the direct recipient of the first ball into attack, and then the triangle is formed around them. The left fullback comes up to support, and the number 6 midfielder, number 8 midfielder comes across to support. And so that space up the flank is not typically for a Jefferson, but he positioned himself nicely there to get the second effort.
Rattray had a little nibble here at Craig Noon, prompting the whistle. Jamison switch asked a lot of Wales. Good aerial duel between he and King. Now Ninkovic goes out the juggling act. Bratton let it run, hoping a teammate would get there. Delbridge backed off and invited King to keep on coming, and was nearly exposed. FC defending with a 4-4-2 shape. Vin Bickler. Craig Noon putting his hands up. He was in an offside position. Good physical stuff from Bratton. Kept it away from McLaren and found the front man in Barbarouses. Baumjohann, no-look pass, finds a target in Ninkovic. Knew where the space was, knew where the Serbian maestro would be. Lafondra. Good passage this from Sydney FC, and Jamison there to head it out for another set piece.
But this is exactly what Steve Corica was talking to us about. When his team secures possession and is not sloppy, but shows the sharpness of the defending champions. And we've seen here just missed that last effort on the 6-yard box. Really good to watch, really difficult for Melbourne City to counter. The ball from Johan to Ninkovic opened things up, and then Ninkovic just started orchestrating.
Johan to bend it away from Glover. Flicked on by City, keeping it away from McGowan. Caceres can whip it back in. And Noon favoured by that one. Berenguer again looking sharp. Covering the ground beautifully. Took a little while to find his feet down under. Now looking very much the part. Had experience in the top flight in France. Looks of Dijon. Sochaux. All ball won by Noon, and Berenguer just whips one out quickly to Wales. Luna working hard, the Uruguayan crosses it in, and Wilkinson just plays the game at his pace, doesn't he? Just clears the danger.
Well, as Sydney's last attack showed what they're all about, so too that one from Melbourne City. Berenguer lashing the ball out to Lachie Wales at the first invitation. And Lachie Wales takes up that position nicely, sets up Joel King and feeds the run of Luna. And it was Melbourne City who just missed the man on the edge of the 6-yard box on this occasion.
Here he is again, Berenguer. Luna may have been trying to let that run, but it bounced up off King, who took it away. Barbarouses is isolated. Caceres waits for Ninkovic to chime in. One-touch pass to Bratton. Rattray didn't have a whole lot of options. McGowan fires one out to King. Barbarouses. Neat play this by Sydney FC. Kind of climax can they provide at the end of it all. King's delivery. Lafondra rises. He took a climb on Scott Jamieson. It would not have counted.
Really difficult game this for Lafondra evidently to get into. Of all the players' names you've called and the expressive passages of play we've witnessed, not many of them have featured Lafondra, and that leap, which was always going to be adjudged illegal, was a reflection of that. I've just got to get something on the ball. I've got to get part of this game. He's such a dangerous player, but he hasn't really been able to figure.
Classy from Ninkovic again. Sydney FC enjoying a lot more possession in the opening exchanges in this second half than they did in the first, and that here's a foul from Good. Went to the ground and paid the price.
Well, there he is, involved. I don't quite understand the hastiness of Curtis Good there. You read the roll of that ball. Lafondra's not going to stop it. He's going to let it roll in front of him. Curtis Good can then just shepherd him into the corner. But again, couldn't help himself. Needed to leave a bit on at him. But in the meantime, he's given up a free kick on the edge of the penalty area. Johan is a very good practitioner from these situations. Indeed, both teams have been bang on from their delivery and set pieces in this game so far.
Glover talking his team through it as Johan delivers. And it should be a corner coming up. A couple of City players went for the same ball. Curtis Good was actually ruled out by his coach a week ago of this fixture with a muscle injury. If you read the reports from a week ago, but he's made a sufficient recovery. The facilities and the Hunter working out for him as Johan delivers. On the edge of the area, 50-50 was won effectively by Berenguer again.
Well, he's been as good a player as anyone today, Berenguer. Not much contact. Lafondra obliged to go for that. Free kick nonetheless.
Noon against Rattray, and Noon in behind, empty net, and Melbourne City lead. You may have the Premier's Plate, Sydney FC, but Melbourne City are hunting a championship. And they are flexing their muscle here in the Harbour City. It's looked like a troublesome proposition all night, Rattray v Noon, and in the end it's the Englishman on target.
Well, Paolo Rattray hasn't looked comfortable defensively at right fullback all night as far as I'm concerned, and this is a classic case. He misjudged the flight of the ball. Redmayne caught probably further out than he might have been, and maybe confused by what Rattray was doing. Craig Noon was alert. Very quick to react to the ball as it skipped past Andrew Redmayne, and he passes the ball effectively into the empty net.
Hug me, coach, says Paddy Kisnorbo. Craig Noon has his 5th goal in his first season down under. And that could be massive in terms of trying to secure that all-important top 2 finish. Of course, these two teams can't meet again until the grand final. If they do finish top 2, or indeed if Melbourne City were to finish 3rd, that would also be the case. So we might just be looking at a grand final preview, and only one team is landing a psychological blow right now. Rattray. I posed the question to Steve Corica at half-time. You think about Rattray off, and you've said Van der Sar at the opening of the contest. Are you surprised he didn't make that move?
Well, we don't know what's going on. I mean, the coaches have all the information. My reaction was, if Ryan Grant is not going to be a proposition, you need a more rusted-on deputy, and we're led to believe that Van der Sar has been slated as that. What a great game for him to get to speed with the position, the responsibilities against one of the, well, now the closest challenger. Paolo, excellent player, very versatile. Has played a lot of football at right and left fullback, but I'm not sure if he's an even medium-term solution there. And that was my point about get Van der Sar in there.
And what about on first half evidence?
Well, sure, but you know, is Harry ready to go? Absolutely. The coach feels strong enough to make a point to the player on the field that he's going to substitute him. All these things go through a coach's mind, but they're in trouble at the moment, Sydney, not just because of the scoreboard, but because Melbourne City's appetite for this has been clear for all to see.
Bratton, who was booked a moment ago, as you saw, on the head of King, couldn't find Ninkovic, and there's space in behind with King in an advanced position. Wales rolls one through, and it's pretty comfortable for Wilkinson. Trademark turn from Ninkovic, and Baum-Johan has plenty of pitch to explore here. Reverse pass. Adam Lafondra breaks his way off Finbickler. Great ball. Barbarouses fluffs his lines. It's still there for Ninkovic. Well, how did Barbarouses not score there? It was almost too easy for him.
Well, beautiful work from Sydney. The ball out to Lafondra was good to look dead in the water, but an instinctive pass from Lafondra after retrieving the ball. Perhaps caught Costa Barbarouses a little by surprise, but geez, it should be 1-1. On the back stick, player of his quality.
And now from the corner on the edge of the area, Caceres. Shielding it away from Finbickler. He's got a couple to beat now. Did so brilliantly. Hangs it up. Good. Only as far as McGowan. Sydney FC have been stunned by that goal. Looking to hit back. Baum-Johan brilliant. Now across the face goes Lafondra. Pinballing around all over the place. Didn't strike a hand. And Tom Glover says, give me that ball and we can ease some pressure.
But it was the unlikely left foot of Alex Wilkinson, the final say there for Sydney. Great spell of pressure by them. The Caceres was 1 against 3 to keep this thing going, and then it was a claim for handball. Ref says no. Wilkinson shoots towards goal and Glover diffuses things.
Was that some interpretive dance from Lockie Wales there on the deck? You'd pay good money to watch that kind of stuff at the Opera House. Might have another look at it in a moment.
Well, it's his on-field version of the worm, was it?
Yeah, it's a bit of Rutger worm.
Brian Mannix does the worm.
Oh, Rutger gets another shout out.
But just to, again, that Paolo Retre chat and consideration. If you're Steve Corica, you're thinking about Paolo Retre. It hasn't been great, but if the main point of my address to the team, and our main problem is not so much Paolo's defending, it's that we keep giving the ball away. We keep being sloppy, which is exposing us on both sides of the field. And so perhaps in his diagnosis, Steve Corica's not thinking, well, our right fullback position is actually the reason why. If we can address these other issues, then we'll control the game as we've become used to doing.
Bratton will work it to the right-hand side, perhaps. No, Baumjohann keeps it central. And it was all too tight in there. For more on Ryan Krantz, I believe Tara Rushton's been able to catch up with him.
Yeah, we yelled out to him from our area just pre-game. He said the groin injury will keep him out for just another week or so. So 1 week expected. He said it's been 10 days since their last game. So perhaps he'll miss their next clash against Adelaide United and then be ready for Brisbane. And their final clash is against Western United. So they've got Adelaide, Brisbane Roar and Western United left. That's Sydney FC. So potentially he'll miss Adelaide United, which is next Thursday.
And that Western United game is a home game for Sydney FC. Set down for Bankwest Stadium, and that is the day that Sydney FC right now are saying we'll lift the Premier's plate on the Western Sydney Wanderers home patch.
Yeah, well,
that'll be a talking point.
Circumstances have made it thus. Just on Western United, it's improbable, Speedy, but they've got enough games and points to play for that they could be challenging these guys for second and third as well. And they've got Melbourne City in that run of 5 games, so it's a big ask to expect the new kids on the block to win 5 straight, or 6 as it would be, because they won their first game back. There's the ball across the back. Here goes Lockie. Whoops. Lie down on the job. Everybody wants to work. No, not Lockie.
It is boy band worthy. New romantic sort of stuff from Lockie Wales. There's a look at that live ladder. Melbourne City credited with 3 points right now. Western United not even in that top 6 frame, of course, but they're very much in the conversation, as Andy identified. Luna, lovely ball onto the right foot of Wales. Sydney FC preparing a change or two. Steve Corica calling on some attacking talent. So pretty congested on that side of the pitch. Caceres worked it beautifully in the phone box. Now Ninkovic asking for teammates to present some options to him. In the end, he had to work one out himself to release Baumjohann. Now King, Barbarousis might be withdrawn shortly. Can he do some damage? Ninkovic again linking up with Bratton this time. Caceres. Referee was almost in his position that he wanted to be in. City dropping into that back 6 almost in that defensive sequence. Sydney FC have to be patient. Pass behind King, and it's time for a double change from Steve Corica. Baumjohann is the first number up. Ivanovic, the young striker who scored against Melbourne City with his only A-League goal, and Costa Barbarousis is withdrawn. What have you made of the Kiwi and his form since resumption?
Well, not been at his best, but his reputation and his standards are so high normally that we're always operating at that, but he hasn't burst back onto the scene, Costa. It's yet to come, and Sydney with big games in front of them, you'd be expecting Costa Barbarouses to be a key part of that charge. Chance now for Ivanovic to get another run in this team. Prove he's got what it takes.
That was his first touch, back to Retro. And Trent Bahaja, the other man to come on, of course, but with Melbourne City with the lead and defending deep, will it set up for him to use that pace to get him behind, you wonder? Oh, mistake from McGowan. McLaren, can he capitalise? Oh, brilliance! Outside of the boots to take the lead in the Golden Boot race. A couple of Socceroos head-to-head. McGowan dwelt. J-Mac took it away. And what a finish from the number 9.
Well, it's a chance from nothing, really. McGowan letting the ball go, trying to get it to run past him. But Jamie McLaren swooped. Great starting position, then runs across the defender to take McGowan out of the challenge. And the toe poke finish was outstanding. Takes the lead in the Golden Boot race and gives his team an extra goal in the lead here in Sydney.
Melbourne City return fire with a double change of their own. And a 2-goal buffer. Wales and Luna withdrawn. Atkinson to head out to that right-hand side, and Connor Metcalf to provide the grunt in midfield. So he goes to 19 now. Jamie McLaren, one clear of Lafondra, who hasn't had much of a sniff in the first half. And the form that Andrew Redmayne was on in the first 45, McLaren, almost in the back of his mind, knew that he needed a special finish to find a way past the shot stopper, and wasn't at that.
Certainly a very direct, instinctive, powerful play from McLaren. There's a couple of defensive errors from Sydney all the same. Steve Corrigan used that word sloppy in his half-time chat with us on both occasions. Retray for goal 1, McGowan for goal 2. Sloppy individual play. No such gifts being given at the other end of the field.
Sarah stumbling, and no foul by Noon. Atkinson is playing in that Wales role as an attacker on that right-hand side. We're so used to seeing him in a fullback role, but Jamison lifts it high, facing one of his former A-League clubs, Scott Jamison. Mark Bosnich, you were waiting for the goals from Melbourne City to frank their form as one of the best performances so far since the resumption. What do you make of it all now?
And they've achieved it, haven't they? Well, the funny thing is, the first goal came after Sydney's best spell of the game. It took Sydney 51 minutes, but I thought at that time they were playing really well. But a lapse in concentration 2 times, and this time they made no mistake, Melbourne City. They're still playing some fantastic stuff. One thing I have noticed is that when Sydney put it onto them, just like they did in that season-defining game when Ryan Grant was sent off and they won, they went into their shell a little bit, Melbourne City. This time, they stood up, they defended what they had to do, and they kept on going at them, and they got their rewards.
And they got a lot of their fixtures out of the way before lockdown, so they return with only 3 to play, including this game. And they've got good breaks between their games as well, and then head into the finals. Looks like they're relishing the time together to bond in a camp environment.
The bucolic surrounds of the Hunter Valley wouldn't be hurting either. Maybe even the odd tipple, a Shiraz or 2, Speedy. The local great.
And also the 2-hour bus trip down on game day, 2 hours back. And it's agreeing with them so far. King to Bahaja. Flicks out for a corner.
Well, they did have those couple of great chances, Sydney, as well. It's true. They got Andrew Redmayne to thank for keeping them on the scoreboard as long as they did, or keeping them even on the scoreboard for as long as they did. But in that start, in the second half, they had that chance with Barbarousis and one or two others. And they couldn't really test Glover in the City goal at all.
In-swinger dealt with by Berlanti. McLaren able to charge that one down with the bottom of his boot. McGowan crestfallen after giving that goal away. Ivanovic had an avenue to play in his fellow substitute. He was behind Bahaja in the end. Now Metcalf. Noon to open the scoring. Confident ball struck by the lefty, Curtis Good. Sees from Vin Bickler, and now Berlanti can turn and face forward again. Really confident play here from Melbourne City. In control of the game on the scoreboard, and also with ball at feet. And remember that head-to-head we showed you in the first half. Just one victory in their previous 9 games against Sydney FC. Yet they're turning on a performance like this to turn that on its head. Now Metcalf, great ball, McLaren! Flag would have denied him, but what a beautiful ball it was from Metcalf.
Well, the big question on that move is, from a Sydney viewpoint, is how did Josh Berlanti get so free in the centre circle? And then Berlanti's played the ball out to Metcalf. The ball in was very tasty indeed.
So Jamie McLaren leaves with the lead in the Golden Boot, but not the final 15 minutes to try and extend the lead. Of course, he's had a few hamstring issues in the last few years, but there was no sign of that on this finish.
You know, from the moment that ball was coming to Ryan McGowan, Jamie McLaren starting to sniff something. You know, the skid of the ball, what will Ryan do? I'm going to get myself just in case he tries to outfox me. And the touch to set up the run to goal, and then changing of his run to take McGowan out defensively. That'll be offside. And then the finish was beautiful McLaren work.
Moody Najjar is the man who's replaced him. The youngster given a chance. Inside the final 15 minutes we go. In the history of this fixture, Sydney FC have scored 14 of their 41 goals in the final 15 minutes of games.
And that's just not this fixture as well. They've been the dominant team in the league this season, scoring in the last 15 minutes.
Jamison was blocked off by Bratton, a theatrical fall. Cross didn't come off the boot the way Noon would have liked, but Atkinson was able to keep it in for a brief moment.
But so far there's no signs of Melbourne City taking the foot off the gas.
Already making it a massive statement. They can make it even more emphatic, of course. Atkinson, deflection off Wilkinson, stopped it getting through to Najjar, and it's another corner in this game. That's 9 for City, 6 for Sydney.
Well, Wilkinson there to cut out, straight to his feet, into the ear of Joel King. Joel, more, better.
Noon ready to shape one in. lot of that from Lafondra. Lovely chest control again from Bratton. Pings a lovely ball as well. Bahaja the target here. Getting back quickly in transition defensively was City. Receives from Retro. Another double change being prepared by Steve Corica. Good win by Metcalf. He's looked sharp off the bench. Short back and sides. He'll be enjoying that Hunter Valley setup, a part of the world he's very familiar with. The flock of seagulls you mentioned pre-game, Andy Harper. They've been working out in the room with all the peroxide.
You reckon it's been a competition?
I think it's just boredom setting in sometimes, and it's come up with a different hairdo. Oh, to have the luxury. Here's Bahaja. Trent Bahaja scored a double off the bench recently against Wellington. And then another double from him tonight. Where this one's going. Noon looking for Najjar. McGowan against Najjar, who was about to go shoulder to shoulder with him. An important stretch by the veteran centre half. Fondra made his run. It was a decent run too, but Bratton would have had to ping it 50 metres down the line. Didn't fancy it. Ivanovic having to drop deep. Redmayne goes long. Bickler commanding against Bahaja. That 5 or 6 minute spell when Barbarousis missed that glaring chance at the back post. Could have made it 1-1. They had Melbourne City under a bit of pressure, but now 2-0 in favour of the home team tonight. Double change is coming. Bratton among those withdrawn. Young Chris Zavella, who came on in the dying seconds the other night, now gets a 10 minutes after fighting back so hard in rehab from that ACL injury. Great to see him back. And Michael Zullo on into the left back role. Can Melbourne City close out a clean sheet? Delbridge, Finn Bickler and Good. Get used to that combination. There's the three at the back for City. Metcalf hoping there's a teammate there. There's plenty of space for Noon to track it down. Great reverse ball. Berenguer first time. The freshman able to get back and cut it out. City FC won't mind this. It becomes a bit helter-skelter. Lafondra worried about going offside.
The work off the ball from Melbourne City is too sharp as well. Really closed the vice on Sydney plenty of times tonight, really impressively.
Jar wanted to flick on, but no one there. Melbourne City's games to come. Adelaide United here on August 11. Western United at Cogra on August 19. So they'll have plenty of time to work on tactics, work on their fitness on the training pitch. And Eric Mombert, I think, is pretty excited about what he's seen tonight and what damage they can do come finals time. So important to finish top two though, Andy.
Historically, yeah. Probably even more so this finals campaign because of the midweek sudden death matches, just adds the load. And depending on who qualifies for those games, the number of matches they've played since resumption will be a big thing. Melbourne City in qualifying for the finals will have just had the 3 games to play. And compare that against Western United on the other end of the spectrum, who haven't qualified for the 6 yet. We don't know if they will, but they will have had to have played 6 games to get to that point.
Zulo, first time ball found Ninkovic. Time to run at them. Milos Ninkovic trying to dribble all the way through himself. Tired pass from Caceres. He's never getting to Retro. Mark Bosnich, it's a potential grand final preview. How big a statement is City making tonight?
Well, Melbourne City are making a huge statement. But I was just thinking now as well in terms of Sydney, and I said this at half-time, obviously they've won the Premier's Plate, so even subconsciously you could maybe say maybe they're not at the same intensity, but there must be, after Newcastle and now after today against Melbourne City, a slight concern that's going to be starting with Stephen Corica and his staff. And you say about potential grand final, well, it must be said, if Sydney to continue to play like this, there are so many other teams playing better football. I wouldn't be putting the house on them being in the grand final at this moment in time.
And Bozza, would you include the Wellington Phoenix match in that analysis of Sydney? I was healthy on the scoreboard in the end, but...
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You know, that night, I mean, you know, Wellington, for me, like I said, were worth a point. Newcastle completely outplayed Sydney. And that's happened again here today. And if it wasn't for Andrew Redmayne, the score would be, well, a little bit embarrassing, put it that way. But the only thing, like I said, that I'm thinking to myself subconsciously, and that's why I don't think we've seen the same intensity, that even though as much as they want to give what they normally do, the fact that they've won it, it's just, it can be a little bit of a popping the balloon type of feeling, so to speak. But I'd be going home tonight, like I said, if I was Stephen Corica, I'd just be thinking to myself, well, you know, but we need to pick it up a little bit, because you can't turn football on and off.
Here's Bahaja into the area. Still trying to pull it back, of course, but they need to find one quickly. Steve Corica will also be hoping that his medical staff can get Ryan Grant Cherry right, because he's a player on the team sheet and out there on the pitch, of course, that makes such a difference to the Sky Blues.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Channeling his inner Wharfie as we speak. Super player, great contributor to this, to the Sydney Football Club. It's an interesting one, and Bozza makes the point, probably expressed on behalf of a lot of people watching, about how much of an edge have Sydney lost because they've secured the first prize on offer. When you look at it from here, the psychology of coach Steve Corica, busting his gut for wins, top performances, keeping players ticking over. What's his mentality? Because when push comes to shove, whilst everyone else is fighting for those positions 2 to 6, they really just have to get ready for that one semi-final. It comes down to one game to qualify for championship game. And well, you just wonder how Steve is managing that.
There was a man management case in point. Rattray taken off with 5 to go, replaced by Van der Sarg after Rattray's error led to the opening goal tonight. In that right back position. Van der Sarg has pushed forward here. Back to the voice of Caceres. Broken up.
Caceres been a little stop-start this second half, frustrated with himself, not quite happening. He's just lost that drive. Instincts just a little dulled.
We saw Eric Mombert giving this man a bit of a rev up before he gets out there. Rami Nazarene, another Sydney boy, taken from the Western Sydney Wanderers youth setup, just like Moody Najjar, to head down to Melbourne City a few years back now. Great performance, Craig Noon, capped by the opening goal tonight. Eric Mombert gives him the applause and then the fist bump. Bahaja able to turn away and find his man as well. Ivanovic wouldn't sit for the youngster. As a result, Melbourne City able to get their numbers back goal side. Zavella, Ivanovic, three of the subs combined. Good across in time. Metcalf, great depth in this squad, a lot of exciting young talent. Connor Metcalf headlining that. Opened the scoring last time these teams met. Look at Atkinson go. Pulls it back. Moody Najjar to cap it all off. Trying to tee up Nazarene, and a little deflection took the pace off it.
Just not sharp enough in the end. But they had a great opportunity that they'd made again to test Redmayne. That was one of the easier things. Beautiful work from Atkinson. And then Najjar couldn't quite find his way. A little bit slow to Nazarene. His reaction wasn't sharp enough. Overall, Speedy, as we approach time added on, this is not where the game has been won or lost, but the field has been full of excellent performances. Probably on analysis, it's just Sydney's two strikers, Barbarouses and Lafondra, who haven't really featured. Barbarouses had that chance in front of goal, which he missed. It sort of sums things up. It's not that they didn't put in or play poorly necessarily, but they've paled by comparison with most other players on the field.
This guy's been exceptional. Berenguer teeing it up for Metcalf, who balloons it well over in the end.
And might I add to that, the referee, Ben Abrams, hasn't he contributed to what's been a thoroughly entertaining game? Great prospect.
He's only done a handful of games so far, but I mentioned during the call in the first half, he went over and managed the game. He had a chat to Brillanti. He said, mate, I've got you twice now. Next time you get a yellow card. Brillanti then had to let the man go the next foray forward, and we saw an exciting passage of play that wouldn't have happened if the ref hadn't gone about it that way. Brilliant stuff by the man in green. Strebre-Delovsky just marshalling the troops in the refereeing department. He's got some exciting youngsters coming through in that fraternity.
Well, the frightening thing is Strebre-Delovsky as the rest boss who's trying to mould them all in his character. Help us. Heaven help us.
Ivanovic. 4 minutes of stoppage time. Bahaja scored 2 goals in 2 minutes against Wellington. Here he is, the target of this through ball. Club has come out a long way. Confident that Winbickler could just nudge Bahaja off the ball. The mindset from Sydney FC to close out their remaining regular season games. A quick backup squad rotation for the August 6 encounter against Adelaide United, then Brisbane 4 days later, then Bankwest to lift the Premier's plate on August 15. Here's an issue, but Delbridge right at the end, he just pinged the ball down the line, hopefully just cramped.
Yeah, well, the beauty of that run of games for Sydney is that they're playing against opponents who are still alive in the race. They'll all come with an edge on their game. It's a wonderful opportunity for Steve Corica to keep his team sharp and work what he has to work on, give players some game time, whatever he feels is necessary, but there's no gimmies in any of those matches. Adelaide resurgent under Carl Viet. What a fantastic coaching performance from the young debutant, if we can call him that. Outstanding. Western United we've spoken about, and Brisbane looking good under Warren Moon as well, still well in it for those higher positions in the 6. So great opponents for Sydney to have.
Inside the final 90 seconds, job done by Melbourne City. And they finish with a flourish. Zullo, who we saw start against Newcastle, some of his injury concerns, soft tissue in recent times. Will they be able to get their best 11 on the pitch, and Cherry Wright come finals time to defend the championship they won in Perth over 12 months ago now. Atkinson, it's through, but Najjar hesitated, and it took a deflection off Sydney FC.
Yeah, well done by Wilkinson at full stretch. Atkinson's looked lively cutting in on that right-hand side. It's between he and Lockie Wales for that wide right position, and each going at it, hammer and tongs. Good inclusion. Atkinson off the bench on the back of Lockie Wales. Very, very good game.
Short corner routine. Full-time whistle about to sound. Just adding on a few more seconds is Ben Abraham. Checks his watch now. Redmayne punches it. And if they do meet again on grand final day, then Melbourne City have landed a massive psychological blow. A big win over the winners of the Premier's Plate. Redmayne outstanding in the first half, but stood little chance in the second as defensive mistakes were made ahead of him, and Sydney FC were exposed. Melbourne City claimed 3 crucial points in pursuit of an all-important top 2 finish as they beat the champions. Melbourne City 2, Sydney FC 0 in the Harbour City. What about that double fist pump from Eric Mombert? That win is huge on so many fronts.
Well, given his sensitivities to the social distancing protocols at the moment, he was verily doing cartwheels. But it's a good coaching performance from the Frenchman. Very, very well executed by the players on field. Super performance. Really entertaining game. Sydney didn't have it in them in the end. Outplayed by Melbourne City. Travelled down from the Hunter to play this game. They'll travel back there to get ready. It's a very gentle run into the finals for them, scheduling wise. Maybe a couple of cards falling